Um,
Hi, Sean. Welcome to work today. Welcome to our podcast again. Yeah,
Need a shot, brother.
yeah,
For people that don't know Liberty Lake, I think one
yeah,
of the things that I loved when I was here, because I remember coming here and like scoping it out. Because when we moved, I wanted to get my wife closer to her family because her mom lives up in Sandpoint,
yes,
sister lives up there, and I'm like, all right, I don't want to get so close where, you know, they're coming over every day.
yeah,
Like we'll do Washington because we were on food stamps and
yeah,
we're needed the health insurance and stuff. So we
yeah,
landed at Liberty Lake, and I remember the first time I saw a golf cart at
yeah,
Safeway, I was like, what?
yeah.
Like
Golf
somebody
cart
drove a
neighborhood.
golf
Yeah,
cart? And then you start seeing them like in the summertime, they're everywhere. I'm
yeah,
like, dude, this is a golf cart town. It's awesome.
yeah,
That was one of the key things. Like, dude, I wanna live here and get a golf cart.
yeah, yeah. Liberty Lake's great in the fact that it's close enough to anything.
Yeah,
Whether it's you want to go to Coeur d'Alene, you want to go to Seattle, you want to drive the other direction, you want to go to Boise. Like I
yeah,
said, is so for me, the thought has always been Liberty Lake. When we opened here, it was a great thought of the fact that we could entrench ourselves into a neighborhood. We're off the beaten path,
right.
like there's a lot of other great establishments that are a little bit closer to the freeway. Um, and it was an opportunity to say, hey, here we are off the beaten path. Yes, we're right outside of a major department store on one of the two of the busier east and west streets that gets you from, across either the state of Washington into Idaho or into a small neighborhood. But the thought has always been that you watch the growth of Liberty Lake, and you never think when you move somewhere or open a business anywhere that that's what you're going to get.
Right.
Your hope is that for me, it's always been, you're not counting rooftops because when we originally moved here, there weren't very many rooftops. And
Right.
so as you kind of watch the gaps close
Yep.
and you build this great community sense of a place where people can come feel comfortable, where people, like we've had a lot
Well,
of
like you were
great,
saying before,
yeah,
before all
customers in.
these apartments and everything behind us, none of that was there. It was
Yeah.
all gone. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to think like even the gaps as they continue to close, we have this great opportunity to be absolutely part of a community. Yeah, and I believe in that. I teach my kids that, like in the neighborhood I live in, we want to be part of this community. We want to do everything we can for our community. And so I always tell people that I'm grateful enough to be part of two communities, right? Because technically I live here
Yeah.
in Liberty Lake. And a lot of people know this about me, but I've probably never been more than 300 feet, on a regular day. I'm not going any further into Idaho. I'm
Yeah.
not. This is as far as you're going to see me from my home.
Yeah.
For a lot of that, I mean, other than taking trips or going, to do something fun with my kids or my wife, this is my daily grind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get my 20 to 30 minutes every day to wind down before I go home and to get myself ready for work mentally, personally,
Yeah.
and that's much needed. And same with you, right? You get a lot of time in your car. I think for me, I spend a lot of time in my car just relaxing and getting myself to the next task. So
I am
yeah,
jealous in a certain sense
yeah,
of the routine that you have. I'll explain because I mean this sounds crazy when I say it, but I get bored because we have residual income. Like it really does get kind of boring when you don't have a lot to do.
yeah,
Like, and that's what I was joking before, this week has been different voices in the Starbucks drive-through.
yeah,
I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do today? I don't know. I'm gonna do Arnold when I go to the drive. I'm like, that's where my head's going.
yeah,
'Cause and everybody says, oh, they'd love to have like all this money and do whatever they want. It's like, well, okay, I would go and live on the beach. They're like, nah, no, you won't.
yeah.
You'll go there for maybe 2 or 3 days and then drink a couple of margaritas and then have a hangover and be done. But you can't do that forever.
Yeah, it's kind of like the thought of being on vacation. You're on vacation, right? So
Yeah.
everything just seems so great. Like, and then it doesn't matter how many days you're on vacation for, reality hits when you're hitting Sunset Hill coming home from the airport and you're like, oh, well, I really miss being home.
Right.
I'm a homebody. My kids are homebodies. My wife's a homebody. We have a routine. It's great. And
So is
like I
this
said,
it for you, like Liberty Lake? Like when you're old enough or your kids want to take over, is it like the end game, the end plan?
I don't think so. And I say that in a way that I feel like as an entrepreneur,
Right.
you really don't get a sense of this is what I'm going to do forever. You don't. You know that this is what you're doing now,
Right.
and if it makes sense. And for me, it's always been I'm a family-driven guy, so if this job ever comes between my family, whether it's my wife, my kids, or my brother, or my mom, or any of my family, or my staff, and we have to make a drastic change, we know, because we're entrepreneurs and we've done this over and over again, that we can do something else.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, the end game is not to be here forever. And that being said, it's the fact that you have to really consider generational restaurants and businesses are few and far between. In my mind, it used to be you want to inherit your dad's business, your mom's business, your grandpa's business, your family business, or you want to teach your kids how to do exactly what you're doing because someday
Well, you kind of
can
had
pass
to.
that
You
on.
rewind. I know I don't want to go too far back, but a couple hundred years is like, if your dad was a blacksmith and
You're a
his
black-
dad was a
yeah.
blacksmith, and that's what you're going to do.
Yeah, I think it's funny because my 11-year-old told his teacher last year during conference, or I think the year before that the famous saying was, he said that why do I need to learn so much at school when I'm just gonna make pizza and drink beer all day? And I was like, I think I had to correct him in the fact that because he sees me, I come to a bar and a restaurant, I make pizza, and that's great, and he loves coming here when he can. And I'm like, I thought about that, and I had to correct him. I'm like, you know what?
What did you tell him?
I was like, your dad doesn't drink beer all day, one, because that would be a great job. Don't get me wrong. But and I told him too, if you really absolutely want to do this, I would love to have you here as much as I could,
Yeah.
and then someday you can do whatever you want to do at this place. But I told him the honest truth is, and what we do here at Brothers Office is we're empowering these young individuals that are here now, because there's a good chance down the road that it's not going to be one of my kids that wants to do this. It's going to be somebody that's working here.
Yeah.
Who feels like this is kind of their niche. And I tell these young kids all the time, I'm like, if this is what you want to do, it's not about the fact that you're in a restaurant. It's about the fact that you want to work for yourself.
Right.
So if this is what you want to do, you get to do this today.
Most kids, I think, if their parents are self-employed or
Yeah.
entrepreneurial, that they just kind of fall into that
Yeah.
zone.
Yeah, they see that, they get comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
And I tell my kids that I want them to do, for themselves, whatever they feel is going to make them happy.
Right.
And so
I mean,
if-
our kids are like, do your kids ask you, like, I mean, I know my kids, Riker wants to be a barber.
yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Cool.
Yeah.
He loves the barber that I go to. And
Yeah.
so I brought him a couple of times, and that's what he wants to do. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome.
Great.
Ashton, I have no idea what he's going to do, but I worry for our kids. I'm like, what with AI, when what jobs is that going to take over? Like, what is going to be available in even 5, 10 years from now?
Yeah.
Like,
So you don't get to in this industry. It's hard to be a business owner in general,
Yeah.
let alone in a restaurant with margins thin.
You're going to get a Tesla robot
Yeah.
that's going to be behind
and
the counter.
you don't get to
You're gonna-
explain to your kids that the margins are thin. That you got to show up every day and work as hard as you can, and
Right.
then at the same time, be a good leader. If you walk in the doors here, different from other establishments that kind of do what we do, which is, technically we're a bar first.
Yeah.
We happen to have really good pizza that we do the best we can with, and that's changed a lot over the years. But you got to really kind of understand that, like, we're a dying breed of people. Where we're teaching young kids who didn't go to college to have a credential to be a bartender or a cook. They didn't. Good luck finding people like that.
Yeah.
So they are in a job where you have to teach them that if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to be a restaurant owner in this industry, the margins are thin. And, and that's not what you get to tell them every day. They don't get to see that every day. They don't get to see, all the taxes, the bills, the operating cost of what it takes to fill the hour labor. In my industry, as the years have in the last couple of years in general, it becomes harder and harder to continue to want to come tableside, have enough bodies to come out and greet people, get to know people, keep people.
Do you think college, put you on the spot, do you think college is a waste of money?
I feel like college is a great opportunity to open the door,
Yeah.
right? But so is working here. I tell the young kids here all the time, like, every day when you get to sit across the table from somebody or the bar, you get to open a door.
Yeah.
If
So you think it just gives
Yeah.
like a chance to build like if your kids wanted to go to college,
Yeah.
would you say, all right, yeah, I'll pay for it, I'll support you, like
I'm going to do the best I can. Yeah. I feel like I've been fortunate enough as a kid that when my parents came here, here's a great story. When my mom and dad came to America in the 80s, the only thought they had for us as kids, they didn't know how many kids they were going to have. How about that? And so as they had, 4 boys, the only understanding I grew up with is I didn't miss a day at school. How about that?
Right.
1, for the free lunch and the free breakfast. 2,
Yeah.
for the fact that, like, you go to school because like my oldest brother and I didn't realize that we were both going to school to learn the same thing, which is English, which is
Yeah.
being able to sit in a classroom setting and learn something.
Yeah.
When we came home, we didn't speak English. We spoke Hmong to each other, right? So then,
Do you still remember it?
yeah, so I'm fully fluent.
Okay.
Yeah, and my kids are. So I think that's important as well. But
Tell me something. Tell me like, hi, Steve. It's nice to meet you.
yeah, Nyajong, which is a greeting, like, how are you doing?
How do I say it?
Nyajong.
Najong?
Nyajong, yeah.
Okay.
So for me, Hmong is an amazing language in the fact that when you learn about it, getting older, you learn about, where your language comes from, where you settle, why you are who you are. And my brother brought up a good point the other day in the fact that my oldest brother, we sat down, we got to talk about, sorry to come off the subject here, but
No, you're
we
good.
sat down and we got to discuss, like, our kids are getting older, right? And they have a lot of questions for us.
Right.
And so whether it's about our ancestry or whether it's about, what culturally, how we celebrate things and why things are what they are. And we looked at each other and we had a really good coming to Jesus moment where you're like, hey, we don't even really understand a lot of our own ancestry. Like whether it's, and most of that is coming from like tall tales of, like stories that you're told throughout the years growing up as a kid, whether it's from your grandparents or your parents. And so now that we're a little bit older, we get to ask a lot more questions
Right.
and absorb a lot more information from my mother, my uncles, all the people that are a little bit older that have lived a little bit.
Right.
And we get to learn and pass that into our kids. And so the understanding that as we get older is we have to know enough about where we come from.
Don't lose that part.
Yes, you don't get to lose culturally who you are. It doesn't matter for my kids, doesn't matter what religion you want to become or what you want to believe in. Believe in something, But,
So bring it back
yeah.
to it just so I can get your raw answer.
Yeah.
Do you think college is a waste of money?
I went to college. My wife went to college. And like I said, back to that point, my dad always told us that they didn't come to America so that we could not go to college.
Okay.
They came to America so that we could get an education.
What is your degree in? What's your,
I have a communications degree,
Okay.
which, and you think about all the years and the days you spent going to school and learning, I do use that every day. Just, you learn how to use that in your own interpretation of what you're doing every day.
right.
Like I tell the young kids here, go to college, pursue your interest. And college can mean a lot for a lot of people. Now there are so many great trade schools too. So
Yeah. Do
as
you think that-
education has changed,
Do you
I
think that
believe
the
in college,
experience
yes.
of college, though, like for me, I've got my degree in business admin, and
Yeah.
I'm still paying back student loans. I've never
Yeah.
used my degree once. I think for me, it was learning more about myself,
Yeah.
being around people that I didn't know and making friends and having the whole college experience of, oh, wow, there's a lot of different kinds of people that are
Yeah.
out there versus just being stuck in a small town and you graduated high school and maybe you were the jock or the loser or the cowboy or whatever.
Yeah.
It kind of gave me a chance to be like, wow, there's a big world out here.
Yeah, I think you have to understand that, like, even the transition between, high school, trade school, college, whatever it is that you want to pursue, I always tell the young staff here and my kids the same, that do what you love. I mean,
Yeah.
if college enables you to do something, if college is going to open a door for you to become something that you want to be, that's what you have to pursue. If you join the military, will allow you to pursue some of the interests that you love, there's an avenue there. If like, you have to really think that the trades are dying. So, plumbers, HVAC guys, like
Electricians, yeah.
Guys like
Mechanics,
myself,
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of education that you can pursue. There's also a lot of good trade schools you can join programs now that you have.
Do you think that's why, like when we were kids, in the 80s, it was, maybe there were a lot more trades and it was like, okay, if you guys want to succeed in the future, you're going to have to go get the college degree, and that was pushed on us. And then it was like corporate, white collar, and then a lot of those trades kind of are lost. Because if you could talk to right now, you could talk to an electrician that you get your journeyman, whatever, go through the process, hire a couple of guys, you can make a lot of money.
Yeah,
you can make a lot of money in a year.
I think it's not just about that, though. What the education is going to allow you to do is not just be in the trade, but then
Right.
be able to train people to be in the trade.
Right.
To allow yourself to, like, have that residual income.
But do you feel like
yeah.
it shifted, though? Like it went from trades to college degree, white collar, and then it's like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
the trades are lost. We got to get back into the trades.
Yeah, we have to absolutely do that because